They never yell. They never throw things. They never say the cutting thing they could say, the thing that would end the argument instantly and leave the other person speechless. They just go quiet. And from the outside, that silence looks like one of two things: weakness or cruelty. The person across from them usually decides which one within seconds. And then the accusations start. Say something. Stop shutting me out. Why do you always do this? But here's what nobody in that room understands. The person who went silent isn't winning. They aren't calm. They aren't indifferent. They aren't punishing anyone. Most of the time, they are drowning. There is an entire storm happening behind those eyes that the other person can't see. A war between what they feel and what they're terrified will happen if they actually say it. Between the version of themselves that wants to be heard and the part that learned, somewhere, somehow, that being heard wasn't always safe. And that's the conversation nobody is having about silence. We talk endlessly about the people who explode. The ones who raise their voice, who fight back, who match fire with fire. We have language for that. We understand it. We even secretly respect it sometimes, because at least they're present. At least they're fighting. But the person who goes silent, they get labeled passive-aggressive, emotionally unavailable, impossible to reach. What if that label is completely wrong? What if the silence isn't absence, but rather the most loaded, complicated, psychologically dense response a person can give? Think about someone in your life who does this. Maybe it's a partner, a parent, a friend. Or maybe, if you're being honest right now, it's you. You're the one who shuts down mid-argument. Who feels the words dissolve before they reach your mouth. Who walks away not because you don't care but because something inside you hits a wall so solid that no amount of willpower breaks through it. And you've probably spent years wondering why. Feeling broken because of it. Apologizing for it. Promising to do better next time, and then next time arrives and the wall goes up again. You're not broken. You're responding to something much deeper than an argument. And that's exactly what we're going to get into. Let's start with something that might genuinely surprise you. When a person goes silent in the middle of a conflict, there is a very real chance that their brain has temporarily lost the ability to speak. Not metaphorically. Not dramatically. Literally. There's a physiological process that happens when the nervous system perceives a threat, and to a brain wired a certain way, a raised voice, a sharp tone, or even just the energy of someone's frustration registers as danger. Real danger. The kind the body responds to before the mind has any say in the matter. The heart rate spikes. Stress hormones flood the system. And the part of the brain responsible for language, reasoning, and measured response essentially goes offline. What's left is instinct. And for some people, that instinct is silence. Not because they chose it. Because their body chose it for them. Psychologists call this emotional flooding. And it's one of the most misunderstood phenomena in human relationships. Because from the outside it looks like someone checked out. Like they stopped caring. Like they're using their silence as a weapon. But from the inside, it feels like being trapped underwater. Aware of everything happening above the surface, every word, every look, every shift in energy, but completely unable to break through and respond. Now here's where it gets even more layered. For many people who habitually go silent in conflict, this flooding doesn't start in the argument. It starts decades earlier. Think about a child who grew up in a house where conflict meant chaos. Where disagreements escalated fast and unpredictably. Where the adults around them couldn't regulate their own emotions, so the child learned to regulate theirs by eliminating them entirely. By becoming invisible. By making silence the only armor that consistently worked. That child didn't choose to become someone who shuts down under pressure. They were trained into it. Slowly. Repeatedly. Until the response became so automatic it felt like personality. And now that child is an adult. Standing in a kitchen or a living room or an office, feeling that same ancient alarm system fire up and going quiet the same way they did at 7 years old. Not because the current situation is actually dangerous, but because the nervous system doesn't check the calendar before it reacts. It just reacts. Here's the question I want you to sit with. How many arguments in your life have been less about the actual issue and more about two people's unhealed histories colliding in real time? Because that's what's often happening when one person pursues and the other disappears. It's not a personality conflict. It's two nervous systems, shaped by completely different pasts, responding in completely different ways to the same moment of stress. And neither of them is wrong. They're both just trying to survive something that feels bigger than the argument itself. The pursuer pushes because connection feels urgent. Because silence feels like abandonment. Because somewhere in their history, someone going quiet meant something was terribly wrong. The silencer retreats because engagement feels dangerous. Because words feel like weapons. Because the only way they ever knew to stay safe was to disappear. Two people. Two wounds. One impossible conversation. And until both sides understand what's actually happening beneath the surface, the cycle doesn't break. It just repeats. With different words. Different rooms. Different years. But the same devastating pattern. So what do you do with all of this? Because understanding why you go silent, or why someone you love does, is only half of it. The other half is harder. The other half requires something that doesn't come naturally to people who've spent years protecting themselves inside their own quiet. It requires letting someone in. And that is terrifying when silence has been the one thing that never let you down. But here's what staying in that pattern actually costs you. And I want you to really hear this part. Every time the wall goes up, every time the words dissolve and the shutdown happens, the distance between you and the person across from you grows. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just slightly. Just enough that neither of you notices in the moment. But over months. Over years. Over 100 unfinished conversations and 1,000 swallowed truths, that distance becomes something you can't easily cross anymore. And one day you look up and realize that the silence you used to protect the relationship has quietly become the thing that's hollowing it out. That's the cruelest part of this pattern. It starts as armor. It ends as a wall. So let's talk about what actually breaks it. Not fixes it overnight. Not erases years of conditioning in a single conversation. But genuinely, slowly, begins to shift it. The first thing, and this is for the person who goes silent, is learning to recognize the moment before the shutdown. Because there is always a moment. A physical signal your body sends before the wall goes fully up. A tightness somewhere. A change in your breathing. A sudden flatness behind your eyes. Most people who shut down have never been taught to notice that moment. They just find themselves on the other side of it, already gone, already unreachable. But that moment, that small window before the flood takes over, is where everything is possible. And all you have to do in that moment is say something true. Not the whole truth. Not a perfectly articulated explanation of your feelings. Just something small and honest. I'm starting to shut down and I don't want to. That's it. For words that change the entire dynamic. Because now you're not disappearing. You're staying. Imperfectly, uncomfortably, but staying. And for the person on the other side of the silence, the one who pursues, who pushes, who feels the panic rising when someone goes quiet, your role in this is just as important. Because the instinct to chase someone who's withdrawing makes complete psychological sense. Silence feels like abandonment. And so the nervous system responds by turning up the volume. More words. More urgency. More pressure. But that pressure is the exact thing that pushes the silencer further away. The most counterintuitive thing you can do, the thing that actually works, is to stop. To lower your voice. To create space instead of filling it. To say, without resentment and without conditions, take the time you need. I'll be here. Not as a strategy. as a genuine act of trust. Because what the silencer needs more than anything isn't someone who demands they open up. It's someone who makes opening up feel safe enough to risk. And safety, real safety, isn't built in the middle of an argument. It's built in the 1,000 quiet moments before one ever starts. In the way you respond when they do say something vulnerable. In whether you handle their honesty with care or with ammunition. Trust is the foundation that makes silence unnecessary. Here's what I want to leave you with. The person who goes silent in conflict is not your enemy. They are not indifferent. They are not trying to make you feel invisible. They are someone whose nervous system learned a very specific lesson a very long time ago, and who has never been given a safe enough reason to unlearn it. And maybe that's the most important shift in this entire conversation. Moving from "why won't you just talk to me" to "what would make it safe enough for you to try?" That question changes everything. It turns a standoff into an invitation. It turns frustration into understanding. And it gives two people, both carrying their own quiet histories, a genuine chance at something most relationships never find. Real communication. Not the performance of it. Not the loud, exhausting, win-at-all-costs version of it. But the kind that happens when both people finally feel safe enough to tell the truth. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you the one who goes silent, or the one who pursues? Because I genuinely want to know. And if this video describes someone in your life, someone you've been frustrated with, someone you've misread, share it with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer someone isn't an argument. It's understanding. The next video goes even deeper into the hidden patterns that shape how we love, fight, and connect. If this one stayed with you, that one will open something.